I shouldn't have done the course I did in my master's. As an immigrant, you should first be worried about your stay, not just a job. So you can get a job. Is that job going to give you a stay in the UK? The British is not joking. They are not sympathizing with you. They are not pathetic about you. If you like, sell all your property and come here. The day you have to go, you will go.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you are seeing my face for the first time, it's me, your girl Chineze Frances. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about our experience in the UK. So I have been in the UK for over 5 years, and my sister, which you obviously know by now, Fema, has already been in the UK for barely 2 years. So in this video, we're going to be asking questions about our experience so far, being in the UK for a very long time, and her just in the UK for just less than 2 years. So we'll just dive right in. So the first question is, when you moved to the UK, what was your biggest culture shock?
You know, when you have that mindset back in Nigeria that as soon as you come out to Europe, generally there's work everywhere. So I had this mindset that when I come, I'll get an office job, customer care, one of those office jobs. But unfortunately, when I came in, it took me a long while. And so it was a shock to me because I later realized that I should have taken advantage of my lowest hanging fruits then, which were actually the warehouse jobs and the care jobs. But unfortunately, I didn't see them. And after I had spent about 4 or 5 months without a job, I had no choice than to take my lowest hanging fruits to earn and sort my daily bills and live my life. Yeah, so that was one of the shocks I had when I came in initially. Yeah.
Any other culture shock, would you say?
Yeah, okay. And every other thing I had to adjust, because when I came in, I felt everybody was going to be this friendly. Even here, the Nigerians here will not even smile at you when you greet them. They want to now act like the whites. So it took me a while to understand anyway, and I've adjusted.
Like everybody wants their space, kind of. So when you come in and you think that, okay, that's my... I mean, some people are friendly enough to accept you immediately, but some people are already accustomed to the culture here. Everybody mind your business. Do you get? Anyway, for me, my culture shock was obviously your lowest hanging fruit is care. After looking for a job, I got into the care job, and my first few days of working, I decided to take 4 shifts. 4 shifts as a stretch, and I took the shift, and I was hoping that at the end of the day I'll count my money in my pocket. In fact, I'd already counted my money, so apologies if you are hearing baby's sound. Baby has to eat, and we have to do this video because I'm leaving very soon. So I was working for 4 days. I was waiting for payday, and when I got the pay, I realized that my pay was slashed. In fact, I would say almost half was gone. And I was like, no, I'm not doing this again. But then I realized that my tax code was actually wrong. But then, you know, the whole tax thing, after working, when you get paid, they will cut your salary, you know, the tax rate and all that. But yeah, that was one of the culture shocks I experienced. Another thing I would say I experienced is, you know, when you come to the UK, I don't know if I'll call it patronizing or it's just what they do. When you go to work, you hear people call you hi love, hi chicken, or monkey. You know, all these are pet names that they think it's okay to call you. To be honest, I didn't really like that. And sometimes in my mind, when they call me chicken, I'll be like, can I call this person chicken back? The way I'll call somebody else chicken is not the way they think they are calling me chicken. So yeah, it was one of those culture shocks I experienced. But yeah, that's it. The second question is, have you finally made peace with British weather, or do you still check the forecast like your life depends on it?
No, you can't make peace with British weather. It's better you check the forecast. Several times I've had to step out of the house without looking at the forecast, and then, in fact, 3 minutes as I left the house, it begins to rain. So I'm like, oh wow, I should have actually checked the weather. So I don't think you can ever make peace with the British weather. Just get used to Siri, what's the weather like today? Honestly, because you never can tell.
Okay.
British weather can be bipolar.
Very, very bipolar. Yeah, it would rain, sun will shine, it will rain, it will be windy, and then you might have snow in just one day. I experienced the same thing she just said earlier when I came in, because when you have just come in, you think, okay, let me just work out. My mother-in-law will be like, you cannot dress like a human being, you have to dress like a masquerade in this country. But yeah, sometimes I'll just get dressed and walk out, and then when I go out and I realize that, oh, I should have carried my jacket, or I should have, it's never, even if it's summer, sometimes in the evening it still gets cold, but yeah, now I can bear the cold.
Because you're driving?
No, I mean, apart from driving, if you go to a barbecue, the way I would have dressed when I came in for a barbecue is not. If you go to a barbecue in spring or even towards autumn, the way I might dress might not be as covered as how I would have dressed few years as I just came in, because then you are still getting acclimatized to the weather now. So, but yeah, even living here for a long time, you still need to check the weather forecast to plan your day, to plan your week.
Black person,
yeah,
having to go out with children too.
Exactly.
There's importance that you just keep checking the weather forecast so you don't get. The weather doesn't take you unawares.
Yeah. So yeah, you just need to check the weather forecast as in fact, my sister-in-law, she's been here longer than I have been, but she's the one that always reminds me, oh, it's not raining in 2 weeks time. In my mind, I'm like, I've not checked this, so but anyway, you can't stop looking at the weather forecast. You need to pay attention to that to help you plan your day, your week, and even your months. Because sometimes if you want to plan a barbecue, you're thinking, you have to check, okay, will it rain in 2 weeks time? Should we plan that barbecue in that 2 weeks time? Or obviously depending on the number of days you will see the weather forecast up to. And so question number 3, what's your ultimate British comfort food now?
Comfort food. So the food you enjoy.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me anyway, I'm actually open to tasting different meals. So I've not had any problem. In all honesty, when I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, I was enjoying their whatever meals I just chose. In fact, sometimes I just call something I don't even know what it is. I just bring it. Let me see. In my mind, as long as there's salt and pepper. The pepper,
that's such a salt.
The pepper they even had is that black.
Yeah, black pepper.
But it's hot.
And if you put a lot of it, it is hot.
No, I didn't used to put so much of it, but yeah. So I just put it, and then salt, and I'm good to go. But if I have to, in fact, I just like trying meals anyway. I like trying meals, so I don't have a particular one to say that this is my but let's say chips and fish or chicken anytime. Yes, fish and chicken anytime. But if I have the opportunity, I don't mind trying other things.
Okay. When I came into the country, obviously, during that time when I was doing care, and I go to the care homes, sometimes obviously when they are sharing food, you might, and there is some for the staff, they'll say, do you want to have some? I did enjoy their chips, and up till this day, if I go anywhere and what's available is chips, I would rather eat only the chips. But you see all those their gravy sauce in it, and their fish is usually very oily, so I don't mind eating just chips. You get their fried chips, I don't mind eating only chips, but all the other things, custard cream and cake inside it.
No, but even in Nigeria, we do cake.
It's different
now.
It's different.
Is it different?
Anytime I eat the British food, especially the ones that they make, like, they make themselves. You understand what I mean? If I cook it myself, that's fine. But maybe in the restaurant is fine. I have to eat any British that is just made randomly. Maybe I go out. Sometimes it gives me a runny stomach. Other than that, chips. I can anytime, any day. I can do with chips. But yeah. Anyway, have you picked up any British slang or changed how you pronounce certain words?
I would just say I'm being more mindful when I pronounce words, particularly maybe speaking to them. And yeah, generally I think I'm just more mindful. And then for the slang, anyway, I'm not so playful, but when I want to be playful, yeah, the in it.
In it. I think everybody says
So,
in it.
in it. Yeah.
Everybody says in it. I wouldn't say. Obviously, I've been in the country for a very long time, but you can still hear my voice, the way I speak. I don't think my accent has changed. But when you have children in this country, I was speaking to my daughter the other day, and I said, "Go and fetch water." I told her to go and fetch water, and she was like, "Mommy, it's not fetch." Like she said, fetch from where? So my husband started laughing. Like, back in Nigeria, we used to say go and fetch water. So you go to the well to fetch water, but you don't go to the tap to fetch water.
So what do you go to the tap to do?
To get water. You just go and
get
water.
water from the tap.
You get water from there. You don't fetch water.
Okay, so you either fetch water from the river,
Yes, or from the
the well.
But you don't fetch water from the tap. And she said, fetch. That was very funny. Anyway, and then when I say water, she says it's not water, it's water. Well, obviously they have the way they pronounce the phonemes they teach them in school, so they are very good at it now, and they will try to teach you their parents that have the Obonge Niger accent. So the next question is, what's a funny or embarrassing newcomer moment you'll never forget? I have one.
Okay, yeah, the funny embarrassing newcomer moment was when I got into a train.
Okay.
That in fact I was to stop at Stratford. But usually, most trains that get to Stratford, or most trains going to London, Liverpool, from where I am, also pass through Stratford and stop at Stratford. So, but I hopped into that particular train going to London, Liverpool, not knowing that it was a direct train to London, Liverpool. And so, when I was supposedly approaching Stratford and the train didn't stop, I was worried. And then the train tax, what did they call it? The train officers came to me and was like, "Where's my ticket?" And I said, "Actually, my ticket was for Stratford and I didn't know." Thank God I was open to him, and so he understood that I made a mistake and he helped me. So ordinarily, if I didn't open up, if I didn't say immediately that this is this and this is actually my first time, I would have been fined for buying a ticket to Stratford and entering a direct train to London, Liverpool. So when I got to London, in fact, he said what would have been done was that I'll be fined and I'll have to pay another ticket to go back to Stratford. But he helped me. He understood it was a genuine mistake, and he helped me pass through the London, Liverpool gates because my ticket couldn't make me pass through there anyway. Yes, so he had to just open it for me to pass through. And after that day, I took note of my mistake and it never happened. I always ask questions. I always get to ask questions, or make sure I use my Google map very, very well. It will tell you the train times, tell you where the stops and everything.
Okay, so when I came into the country, newly, I was looking for jobs in fact, around Greater Manchester. So this day, I got an interview in Warrington. I was living in Manchester and I got a job interview in Warrington. So I was supposed to take a bus. That's how I took my coins, the brown coins. Hey, God have mercy. I took the brown coins and I was already late. So I rushed into the bus and the man said it's £3.50. So I was thinking that brown coins, obviously 2 pennies, 2 pence. I was thinking that brown coin is £4. So I rushed into the bus, gave him the 4 pennies, so 4 pence, and told him to keep the change. And the man looked at me and he was like, "That's 4p, 4p. Do you understand?" And I was actually confused because I was late. Anyway, I had to bring out £5 and £5 cash, and now he gave me the change. Obviously now when I remember it, I'm so embarrassed. Like, I really give somebody 4p.
Anyway, funny enough, it was the first week when I came into the UK that actually went on Google and downloaded a picture that had all the British currencies. So I had a picture that had all of them, I needed to study them. So when I have something on me, I know what exactly I'm holding. Yes, I downloaded. It was the first week, yes. While
which is
while we're
good.
still in the Airbnb, that was the first week was when I also learned how to use Google Map, because this is where Google Map works works
Very
perfectly.
well. To be
Yeah,
honest,
so it was first week in the UK I learned how to use Google Map. I also downloaded a currency picture. I think I should still have it in my phone that showed from 1 penny, 2 penny, 5 penny, 10 pence, up to 20 and 50 pounds. So it was easy for me, yes.
okay. To be honest, I didn't just so many things I didn't pay attention to, obviously, because I was coming in to meet my husband. So if I was coming in with my husband at the time, maybe it would have been different. But obviously,
Or maybe if you had come into school,
you
would have known you need to figure out your way out.
Exactly. But yeah. Anyway, next question. That's the second question. Next question is, after your number of years in the UK now, do you have a favorite UK city or spot you always recommend to people?
To that question, I'm still new. I haven't gone to.
You've been to Manchester.
I've not gone to so many places.
Yeah.
I've just been to Manchester. But from my experience, from where I am in Colchester compared to Manchester, Colchester is in the southeastern part of England, while Manchester is in the northeastern, isn't it? The northwestern part of England. So compared to where I am and my visit to Manchester, I'll say that the north, in general, as I hear, or Manchester is quite cheaper compared to accommodation, bills, feeding.
In this part,
Manchester is quite cheaper. Yes, Colchester is expensive, and several times I've had to cry out, and I hear Colchester is run like London in relation to tax and maybe council tax, other business taxes and the rest. So I don't know. I've not confirmed that, but generally Colchester is much more expensive compared to Manchester. So
well, I mean, I've been to all these places I'm speaking about. I've not spent a month anyway there, but I've been to London, obviously Colchester. I would say maybe I've been to Nottingham, but we went there for a business venture, just a day's business venture. But I think I would say Manchester is still, because Manchester, Birmingham and London, I would say, are like one of the three biggest cities in the UK. Don't come for me, oh please. But yeah, Manchester, I think Birmingham and Manchester are in between, which is the biggest. Well, because Manchester is still coming up and you have a lot of people or a lot of things coming up in Manchester, I think I'll still prefer Manchester to any other place. I mean, I've not spent more time in any of these places, so yeah, I'll say Manchester still. But with regards to places I've been to, like maybe sightseeing, I've been to Lake District. Can't even speak again. Lake District, and it's a place I would like to go to again, just because of the nature that it's there, the greenery, the lake, everything that is there. We've been once, and the time we went, it was rainy, so we didn't really explore that much. Alton Towers, Blackpool, all these kind of places. But
yeah, those are for tourists.
Yeah.
Tourist sites.
But Lake District is one place I would like to visit again, and I hear York is also a nice place. So anyway, what's one thing that finally made UK feel like home for you? Very, very
Anyway,
pertinent
compared
question.
to where we're coming from, you know how it is, the electricity, the rowdiness, everywhere is just hustle and bustle. Yeah, but coming down here, you just feel that serenity. It's a peaceful environment, you understand. And then secondly, I've been someone that's had the skin allergy. I'm allergic to mosquito. So all my life back in Nigeria, if I didn't have to sleep in the mosquito net, I had the mosquito bite to contend with. No matter how much I try to close the windows or have a mosquito net on the windows, I don't know how they just love my blood and they will still find me. And when they bite me, it leaves me scars on my skin. But getting to this part of the world where there were no mosquitoes, wow, it was a wow for me. And then yes, so having to sleep without having that fear of, oh, something is going to bite me or itch me, and then I'll scratch and have the scars. So yeah, so it made me feel like I was home actually.
Okay, so when I came into the UK, obviously I was coming into my husband's house, and he had his family here. So the acceptance for me, my husband has 2 elder sisters, and they were just like my elder sisters. So that made me just, blend in very well, I would say. Obviously, people have different reasons for coming into the UK and what makes them feel at home. But even after spending so many years in the UK, I still feel like...
You still feel like away from home?
The weather here in the UK is different from the weather back in Nigeria. Well, there are so many things that come into play here in the UK that when you go back to Nigeria, you just feel like, okay. Some people, when they are in the UK for a long time and they go back to Nigeria, they just feel like, let me just take some break from all the sanity that is here.
Okay, so you like the
madness in Nigeria. Sometimes you just want to go and take a break from the sanity here and go and experience some madness in Nigeria. And I don't mean it I just mean it in a lighter mood, obviously. Just live freely without worrying about one bill or the other, or one camera capturing you because of different things, I would say. But family is what has made me feel safe or feel happy, has made me finally call UK home. Yeah. So the next question is going to be about the UK driving test. I've had the UK driving test. I've passed my driving and I'm driving now. My sister has not had her experience, but obviously she's going to just say what she feels like is going to be her experience.
You can't say what you feel like experience
or wish would happen when she does her own driving test. Obviously this video will come back and remind ourselves about it. So the question is, if you've taken the UK driving test, how was your experience? Was it smooth or was it stressful? So I'm going to start because of what I just said. So when I started my driving lesson, I started with manual, and I was in that manual for a very long time, and I was pregnant. I was few weeks to delivering when I told my instructor that I'm going to deliver maybe in 3 days time, and he looked at me and he was like, "Are you actually pregnant?" Well, anyway, that's just a side story. But yeah, I started learning with manual, and then before I gave birth I stopped. So after I gave birth, I didn't go back to it. Obviously I had to take care of my baby and all that, and then 2 years after I started again, but then I started with automatic. And I started with automatic, did the lessons for a very long time again, wrote the tests for a couple of times, probably 2, 3, 4 times, I can't remember exactly now, and then I finally passed with I think a third person I did test with. But I've not said this before, but most of everything I learned in my driving, I learned it from the very first person that taught me the manual, because he was really detailed. There was this thing he taught me. Anytime I'm on the road and I see a car, I can't remember what he called it. Now it's in my head, but I can't remember. Giving way or something like that.
So are you saying it's better to learn with manual?
No. I think it's just
his person.
Anyway, he was very detailed, and so most of the thing I learned was from the guy that taught me manual. In fact, in my head, while I was doing that automatic, I used to say, it's not even you that's teaching me this driving, you're just teaching me to pass this test. But because some people are not so by the books, some people are just teaching you practical. Some people are just good at teaching you practical. The person I passed with, he'll bring out his driving PDF file in his phone and show me, okay, you were supposed to go here, but you did not do this or you did not do that.
So he was also detailed.
He was detailed, but the first guy did teach me better. But it's just that I feel like if I had stayed with him longer, I would have spent more money with him. Yeah.
And they are all white.
No. This first guy was white. The second person was white, but the next person was Pakistan, and he was the person I passed with. Him and his wife are a driving instructor. So sometimes I do with his wife, sometimes I do with him. But yeah, I finally passed my driving, and I drove to Colchester 4 hours. When I passed my driving first time, I think then I was still working in a very far place. I drove on the motorway just a few days after I passed my driving. So I kind of took off that fear. So I would say my driving experience was a bit smooth and stressful, given the fact that I didn't pass those number of times I passed. It was really stressful. It was frustrating. But anyway.
Yeah, but having to write the driving test more than once helps you to build more confidence.
It does.
Yes.
It does. And another thing is I did a theory 2 times as well. So obviously after 2018 I did the theory, 2018, 19, 2021. After 2 years the theory expires. Yeah, after 2 years the theory expires, so you have to do it again. So I did it a second time and passed it, I think. And then waited to do the practical, and yeah, here we are today driving. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, so anyway, from the experience, I think I've learned first of all, anyway, you first said it was the person, not like you started learning with manual.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
person.
it was the person. So anyway, my mind is open. When I'm ready, I'll just go in with an open mind and see what it brings. That's just what I will say.
Yes, having an open mind, even if you've driven before, but having an open mind, because you will learn a lot of things when you start driving here in the UK. Yeah, you will learn a lot of things when you start driving in the UK. It's easy to actually pass a drive in Nigeria and come here and think that it's the same thing. But some people come here and then you will see when you are somebody going on the right, when you are supposed to be going on the right road, you are turning in to the wrong road. And policemen just know people that have not actually driven in the UK by just watching them drive. So you just have to be careful out there. So this is a very important question. So how did you feel using the NHS for the first time compared to healthcare back at home? And let's relate it more to delivery.
Okay, so someone has asked me that question, and in all honesty, I think back home where there are issues is probably going to use the general hospitals, and I didn't use the general hospital when I had my first child.
Okay.
So okay. I don't have any first-hand experience, although I visited someone who gave birth in the general hospital, and she was in fact there were no mosquito nets in the wards. There were mosquito nets on their beds, which they put on for them maybe at night, maybe from 7 or 7:30 when it's bedtime. And we all know that in the evening, maybe from 4 or 5, mosquito begins to evade. So I wonder how they will survive in that place until when it's bedtime. And then, so if you have to step out of your bed to go and ease yourself, you still have the mosquitoes to contend with. Anyway, I didn't give, and then she talked about the bathroom where they were taking their bath, how it was messy and all that. So, but I don't have a first-hand experience. I'm just reporting someone's experience. Yeah, so I delivered in a private hospital. One of, let me say, yes, the biggest private hospital in Surulere at the time, which is Havana. And I had a room to myself. I was well taken care of because it's a private hospital, so they want to treat you well, so you can recommend. So that was where I gave birth to Olive, and so I didn't have that. So comparing that to the NHS here, it's almost the same. The NHS actually runs the NHS like it's a private health organization. Okay. Yeah, they take care of their patients very well. They are kind to their patients. They speak kindly to their patients. So that's actually almost attainable with what I had the first time. Yes. Okay.
So I had my daughter here as well. My first experience, obviously, and it was so smooth. It was so smooth that when I just mentioned I was pregnant, obviously because of my health condition. When I mentioned I was pregnant, my doctor just referred me to one particular doctor. This was for my daughter, obviously. And, I had just 2 or 3 doctors maximum at any time I went for my antenatal. Or in fact, when you are high risk here in the UK, you don't see midwives.
Okay, you don't see midwives.
You don't see midwives. When you are at high risk here in the UK, you don't see midwives. You see consultants. Yeah. So throughout my first pregnancy, I saw consultants. But unfortunately, with my second pregnancy, I think maybe I should have paid more attention, but my doctor just told the gynecologist I was pregnant, and then from there on I was transferred from one doctor to the other to the other to the other. So that's one of those experiences obviously that I had. But with my daughter, it was a very smooth sailing experience. Everything was planned. Are you going to give birth through CS or normal delivery? Everything was planned, except that obviously she came on time. And even when she came on time, because everything was already planned, it was still
easier
to manage. But this time around, I hadn't even seen an anesthetics at the time. I was, at that time I was.
So why didn't you take advantage of the first experience to request?
I didn't know
that. In the first one it happened this way. Why is it not happening this way?
I think maybe I didn't pay attention to it, to be honest. But obviously, now I know better.
There's going to be a second chance.
Well, by God's
there's going to be another chance.
By the grace of God.
Yeah, sure. Everything we live by the grace of God, actually.
Yeah. So the final question is, looking at yourself since the years you arrived in the UK and now, what's one thing you wish you could tell yourself, like if you just arrived?
Yeah, so looking at myself now, I think I would have told myself back from Nigeria that I shouldn't have done the course I did in my master's, owing to the fact that as an immigrant, you should first be worried about your stay, not just a job. So you can get a job, no doubt, but at the end of the day, is that job going to give you a stay in the UK? And the British is not joking. They're not looking at you. They're not sympathizing with you. They are not pathetic about you. If you like, sell all your property and come here. The day you have to go, you will go. So looking at myself now, I would have loved to do maybe a course in the health line or something in mental health.
Or even in tech. What do you think about tech?
Not tech, because the tech space now, the British are there. They are encouraging their own people to get into tech. So I would have done something in health line so that as soon as I'm coming out, I'm sure that there's a job waiting for me. Yes, the tech space you can survive when you have your stay. When you have your stay. At the end of the day, we as immigrants, our main pursuit is to be able to stay back. Because if you don't have that opportunity to stay back, the Home Office will send you a mail and tell you 30 days to plan to leave. And so when you look at where you're going back to, honestly, you want to do anything to stay, which is the main thing. So by the time you secured your stay, after you've gotten your ILR and possibly gotten your passport, you can now delve into whatever you want to do. Yes. So if I had that opportunity, if I had thought about it better, I would have done something that would have given me an easier route to stay in. Yes. And then secondly, I would have actually sought, if I had the opportunity, I would have actually sought advice from people that were here already to know what location we would have looked for a school in, but I didn't have that opportunity. So that's it.
So for me, I think if I've just arrived, I would say whatever decision I wanted to take, I would have started taking it a very long time ago. I think because of the way I arrived, I let a lot of things slide. But anyway, I don't regret anything. Yeah. So far, I'm to be honest, I'm actually happy how far I've come. In the UK, the amount of things I've been able to achieve since I've come into the UK, and yeah, I don't think I would change anything. But but I would have started taking those decisions a little bit, as in maybe immediately I came in, and not let a lot of things slide. Oh yeah, thank you all so much. We're going to end the video here, and I'm just gonna say, if you've gotten to this stage, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like, share, comment down in the comment section, and yeah, do you want to tell them to comment, to subscribe?
Yeah, subscribe to our channel. Frances Chineze Frances's channel. Help us grow. Thanks for watching. Thanks for staying with us.
Thank you so much. Until next time, I'll see you guys. Bye.